Hello, everyone. It is time for Deploy on Friday. It's Friday, which means it's time to deploy, as everyone always knows. Although it's Thursday, we're
Mhm.
doing this a day early because Good Friday is tomorrow, and so we all thought, "Oh crap, we gotta do this a day early because everyone's gonna be away on holiday." Anyways, I got Charlotte and I got Matt here. Charlotte, you were up early today doing a webinar.
Yes, yeah. Me and Steve did a webinar with TechStrong based on the AI Pulse report. So we were just going through some of the results. And yeah, it was really great. I mean, it's so great to, pull in, I guess, new news articles and new information that's come out since the report and then compare it to what I found as well, which I think that's what we did this morning. It was really cool. Steve can just come up with the most amazing stuff. So it was really good, and I learned a lot on the session. If I'm being honest, it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, Charlotte. So Charlotte had to get up at like what 4 a.m. something like that
and
this
yeah,
morning.
five.
Oh, just five. Okay, there you go.
It's fine.
Well, there you go. So Charlotte and Steve did a webinar. We'll talk about this during today's episode, but yeah, glad to have you here. And Matt, how was your week? You've been busy as well.
Yeah, there's lots of cool stuff going on as usual. Lots of balls being juggled in the background. New episodes of Inside Platform
Plates
Engineering to come. So yeah,
plates smashing on the floor.
yeah. We pretend that's not happening though. We try and hide the chaos,
Yes,
but
exactly.
yeah, there's
Ignore the man
been
behind the curtain.
that's right. Yeah. A couple of blog articles that'll be coming out soon.
Nice.
And I've reviewed some ones that we'll probably cover here from Matt Casperson. He's done a great series that's halfway through coming out. I think it's being released day by day this week.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah. How about yourself, John? I think you're deep in supply chain security stuff at the moment,
Yeah,
aren't
I
you?
am. We'll talk about it in the show. We'll definitely cover some of the things that have been happening. It hasn't been NPM's best year slash month slash weeks. We'll
Yep.
talk a little bit about that. I've got a bit of a theme going on here in terms of NPM. I think there's something going on there that we need to address, and it's not just NPM. It's also everyone who's pushing to the NPM registry is like, guys, where's the deployment pipeline? Like, what's going on here? Why are we failing at this? But anyways, we'll get into that and a whole bunch more. Let's start with today's this week's news. We've got a video from you, Matt, execution tainers in Octopus Deploy. Your
Yeah.
hair's getting longer, Matt. Every time we bring up video of you, it's like, all right, what state is Matt's hair in? All right, we got a longer hair.
That's
I
right.
try to keep mine short and tight, but you're growing yours out. What's going on? Is this
So I have a real
your
problem with this when
your
I'm
lockdown
creating.
haircut?
Yeah. I did bring it back, right? So yeah. I have a real problem with this when I create courses for Pluralsight because I never film the entire course at once.
Oh,
And
right. Yeah.
like you meant to, you wear the same clothes and you can get the lighting and everything the same, but my damn hair changes all the time. So I've got to try and rein that in. It just means I need to go to the hairdresser more. But
No. I'm just joking.
yeah. So
Look at that.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Execution containers. So, John, I've got a question for you, actually, and it's okay because this is a safe space. But in your deployment or build or deployment pipelines, whenever you've been working with something over the many years that these have existed, have you ever put something in the pipeline itself to install or uninstall a particular tool or version? Has that ever come up for you where you've needed to?
Yeah. Worker
Yep.
tools, things like that.
Yep.
We'll typically provision worker tools because you can't always assume that you have them available. So, why I feel like you're leading me in some direction here.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've done it before where I've used workers from the platform, whether it be GitHub or Azure DevOps or Octopus
Yep.
or what have you. And the tool either isn't on the worker already, so you kind of just install it as part of your deployment process or your run book, which isn't that great. Or it's on there, but it's maybe the wrong version, and maybe you need some new functionality that's not in the version that's on there. And when you've got this internally and you're hosting your own workers, you're trying to install the tools that you want, and then different teams want different things. They want different versions of the same tools, and it can become a nightmare. So
Yeah.
execution containers allow you really just to run your deployment steps inside of a container rather than on the worker directly. And that way you can then specify the container that you want from wherever you want, from a registry feed, or you can even build it in line within Octopus Deploy. And that can just have the tools that you need for your deployment, for your team, for your project. So you can get very specific about where you're executing your step from. You know that it's got the tools that you need at the version that you need them, and that someone else who's running on that same worker pool as you isn't going to be affected because you can run it into isolated containers. So that's what execution containers aim to solve. And yeah, the short video here just talks through that problem a little bit more and shows how we do it in Octopus Deploy, which I think is really sleek. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people might look at this and say, why don't you have all the tools pre-installed? I'm like, do you know how big our download would be if we did that? Like, so you gotta provision this stuff sometimes on the fly, and execution containers, worker pools, not worker pools, excuse me, worker tools. These sorts of things help. I gotta get my terminology right. I'm like Charlotte. I'm getting up too early. I'm forgetting all kinds of terms now. So, but no, it's great that you did another video of this. I love these videos. This is your Exploring Octopus series, which you'll find up on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, as the kids say. And yeah, I see that your video editing here, Matt's getting sharper. You're putting boxes around things, and I like it. You're James Cameroning me into your video content now, which I like. So,
yeah. I was slowly walking towards that caliber. Hopefully, if I can get someone watching for more than a few minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. It's better than an M. Night Shyamalan sort of 90-degree turn. Like what? I didn't expect that. Sort of
that's
thing.
right.
So, yeah. Okay.
And I will come across to dark mode in the interface at one point or another. I will get there for you at some time. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can check this out up on our YouTube channel. I also made a reference to the AI webinar that we did with TechStrong that was featuring Steve and Charlotte. You'll find this also on our YouTube channel as well. There's this video that I published earlier this week. This is entitled Understanding the Value of Platform Hub. And I think the thing that I liked about doing this video was the fact that I was able to actually get somewhere with generating animations through AI and through a framework that I found called Remotion. And so this is what you're seeing here. The message here was basically, a lot of folks were asking us, like, what's the value proposition of Platform Hub? Like, how do I understand this at a high level? And so I was like, all right, I'll figure this stuff out, meaning not Platform Hub, but rather how to do animations programmatically and stuff. And so that's what I did. That's the real story for me in terms of this video. But this video is a great primer if you're wanting to understand, like, the whole why Platform Hub, the foundation behind it, etc. That's what this video does. And I set the stage off by saying, you have a DIY sort of typical setup, and then Platform Hub is meant to address this through two key pieces of technology, which are policies and then as part of your governance as part of this. So you have policies. I'm just bringing up this is me tap dancing as I'm just showing you here. Policies and process templates.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's a really good video.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So
it's fantastic. Super clear, easy to follow.
Yeah. This was again using the Remotion framework, which I'll just bring up here. So if you go to remotion.dev, this isn't nothing remotely related to Octopus, but this is what I'm using to help generate these things. And I found this. I didn't realize this existed, so I thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, that's kind of how I do those animations. These sort of animations here and others. It's a really powerful framework. I like it a lot. So it's very cool.
This has ended up looking really good. So yeah, we'll be hassling you for the how-to on how you put this together.
Hey, ask Claude. Don't ask me. I just told Claude, generate some for me. Here's what I want you to generate, and it spit out the TypeScript to do it. And
fantastic.
So that's how So. Hey, I'm not one for shying away from cheating. Come on. So, anyways, there's a blog post here from Matt Casperson. This is entitled "Practical Platform Engineering in 5 Lunches." Number 1, getting started. This is similar in the vein to the Easy Octopus Easy Mode that Matt's been doing. If you're at all interested, you can check it out. This is our Practical Platform Engineering in 5 Lunches blog series that Matt has cooked up for us. A buffet of recipes and tips and tricks. Sorry, I'm trying to go with the metaphor. But if you're at all curious, you can check this out. Matt's kicking this off, asking the what is this, what is that, and you'll see a bunch of these series up on our blog, which is got lots of content there, which is great.
Yep, and that series will take you through the steps that you need using the AI assistant to go and build a project and then consume some process templates that were pre-canned for you in a Git repository, and then apply some policies. So you get hands-on with all of this, see it in action through the use of the AI assistant and through some of the steps that Matt's got here in the post as well. So yeah, I went through this entire series in like a review process, and it's a great job, and it gets you I think you still have time to have lunch next to doing the blog post as well. So yeah, they won't take your entire lunch break. So you don't have to eat while doing this, but yeah, it won't take that long to go through it, and you get hands on and you get to see the value. So, and
Awesome.
and as he calls out in the post as well, if you don't have access to Octopus Deploy at the moment, or you don't want to use, your works production instance or something like that, there is the free version that we've got now of the free tier of Octopus Deploy that you can go and sign up for using using your own credentials or email address, and you'll get access to a free tier, whether that be hosted in the cloud, which is obviously easy to get started with, or you can download it yourself and run it as a container locally. You can go for whichever model you like.
We have this cool little visual here on our homepage here. We can see how it works, and you can start the demo, and we get this animation avatar at the top right here. So if you want to see that as a product tour. We're trying different things here. I like it. We're trying different ways and to help folks understand better how Octopus works and how you might want to use it going forward. So cool stuff. We have a new episode of Argo Unpacked. This is obviously featuring Dan and Revital. This was the latest episode that they hosted earlier called Argo CD versus the World. World. So, great to see them host this. Basically, this is a very popular series now. They've got 7,000 subscribers, plus 7,000 subscribers now, and Dan and Revital are killing it. And recently, Steve was on there along with Costas. And they've been having a good old time talking about Argo CD, etc. So definitely a show to subscribe to. You can check it out at argounpacked.com. And coming up, I thought the other episode... Well, the other episode is pending right now. So if you go to the Argo Unpacked... Let's see if I can find it here quickly. Argo Unpacked, I think. I don't know what channels this is going to take me to. All right, let's try this. Argo Unpacked, YouTube. And see if we can find it. There we go. Boom. And then we take a look at the live here. The next episode is Dr. Argo called. Do your custom resources need a checkup? We also have this one featuring Argo CD and Octopus Deploy better together. That's episode 25, episode 26. I'm liking the old design here. We got, you can see the sick components here, our resources. So very cool stuff. Yeah, you can find us up on Argo Unpacked. I think it's / Argo Unpacked there up on YouTube if you're all curious. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And let us know if you want to see other shows. Let Dan know. Let Revital know other shows you'd like to see going forward. Cool beans. Yeah, so this episode is up now. You can watch it if you want. And also, we do publish this show via podcast. So you can subscribe to this via iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, basically. So we do publish that show there.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Awesome.
We've had a couple of interesting this is what I'm going to harp on in a couple of videos that I've got pending. We've got a couple of things that have happened recently. NPM, this has not been their month, their week this year, whatever you want to call it. The Alanis Morissette reference, or I guess the whatever 80s reference, 90s reference. But recently we had a supply chain attack that hit Axios, and this one was massive because Axios gets like a few 100 million downloads a week. And it's a major dependency for a lot of folks it's basically an HP client library. So if you're doing anything with HP client, meaning, and you want a convenient library to use it in TypeScript, Axios is the sort of default one to use. And this one was pretty nefarious because the way it worked was this was done with no code. It was basically an install injection that also deleted itself after the fact. And you ended up with a rat basically on your system that would compromise tokens, etc. And so this one was pretty nasty. And it begs the question, like, what's going on with our pipelines? I thought this was a solved problem with Octopus, where you can do validation and SBOMs and check things, But it seems like stuff's going up on NPM. We got Shai-Hulud 2. We've had exploits of various things. Like it just seems like NPM is a bit of the Wild West right now, unfortunately. And Axios is the latest, one of the latest versions of a library that has been basically compromised. The attack vector was really cool to see, but I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this. But supply chain attacks. I mean, we had SolarWinds. You would think SolarWinds would wake us all up to this, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, do you think these are, with what you're saying, John, do you think these are becoming, like supply chain attacks are becoming more common and more popular, or is it just getting vocalized more, or is there a mix of things going on here? Because this seems to be a really repetitive thing, over the last, especially 6 months, but I feel like maybe even a little bit longer compared to like a couple of years ago. Like, it was still important, but I can't remember it exploding like it has, especially in these last couple of months.
I think hackers and crackers and other folks who exploit systems are quickly discovering that developers are a little bit lazy when it comes to securing their pipelines. Sort of thing. We always run as admin, or we got a CI/CD token, we're good with that. Just ship it, and it's got like all the rights on you could possibly want, or it compromises your build process, or in some cases it's accidental. It's not the fault of anyone. But I think supply chain attacks, like this is why you're seeing a lot of momentum behind S-bombs. You're seeing a lot of momentum behind verify, trust but verify, the old proverb, sort of thing. So, don't trust what gets spit out by your CI process. But I think that a lot of folks, like, naturally, I think I'm not in this space, but I know that I am a human. I know what human nature is, which is you gravitate to what's easiest. Or it's like flowing water. You just follow the easiest course of action. And a lot of folks who are looking at supply chains will be like, yeah, this is an easy target because no one's locking down this stuff. And for good reason. I mean, developers need the freedom to be artistic and also to create. But this is the whole premise of DevOps and platform engineering and, all the stuff that we've been espousing of, making sure that your pipelines are secure, et cetera. So I don't know if to answer your question, this is to the long answer. I don't know. I don't know if this is now an increasing attack vector or not, but it certainly seems like we need to, I think it's a good thing that the more times like things like this, like, yes, it's painful when this stuff happens because everyone's scrambling, but I think at the same time, everyone's like, you know what, we really should think about securing our supply chain ourselves and validating our dependencies and not just take, anything that's on npm as gospel, and also making sure that we pin our versions inside of package.json and we do this and we do that. Like, all this stuff I think is important.
Yeah. And it's kind of what makes me wonder, like, it's like that's kind of easy stuff to look over or forget just while you're getting on with the thing of developing your application or your tools or whatever you're doing. Like, that's kind of easy stuff just to push to the side, right? Until something happens and makes you come back and think, okay, we need to really focus on this. And I feel there's been for at least from my point of view, there's been this pointer from the industry to shift left and do your security towards the left. But I think this iterates that there's multiple places throughout the software delivery lifecycle where you need to be embedding these different security checks at different points in time, right? It's not just like we've said, it's not just at build time, it's at deployment time as well, where we need to validate, since this thing was built and we're about to deploy it, has something happened? Do we want to not deploy this because something's broken out in the last couple of days or weeks or whatever it's been? And I think there's now, multiple times in the software delivery lifecycle where we want to be doing as much, security scanning and checking and surfacing of issues as we can. With the idea, of course, to try and either not ship the vulnerable software or the software that's got vulnerable dependencies within it, ideally. But even if we do get to a point of starting to deploy it through our environments, maybe there's even some additional scanning and checking that's going on in those environments, before it gets out to production. So very, very much depends on the application, and sometimes easier said than done. But I think it's really bringing a focus into this is a serious attack vector that for me, it's the rapidness of how quickly this will affect, because dependencies are just being, like you said, what was it?
Pulled down all the time
into the millions per week or whatever, and it's just, it's just an insane scale. And that's probably what makes it an appealing attack vector as well, right? It's just the sheer scale.
It's not good, Charlotte. We need to do a state of DevSecOps, report now. More reports. Come on, we gotta get people on board.
I'll write that down. That can be my next bit of research for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a state of report out there. It seems like that's the common refrain, but I agree, Matt. Like, this is something we got to do. I think the more attacks happen, the more exposure it gets, etc. Like I thought when SolarWinds happened, I was like, okay, that's it. They're gonna take our stuff really serious now. And it doesn't seem like that happened at all. Like I thought Shia was bad. I was like and then Shia 2 happened. I was like, what? And then this happens, and I'm just like, what is going on? I have no like. Is anyone thinking about the pipeline at all? Like, you know, it's like think of the children argument. Think of the pipeline. Won't somebody think of the pipeline? Anyways, sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's been a long week, folks. Anyways, another thing that happened was, incidentally, Claude Code's source code got not the source code tree itself got leaked, but there was a source map that got put into, unfortunately, the latest release of Claude, and then a security researcher saw that and then grabbed it and was able to basically get the TypeScript code from that. And unfortunately, it was a bug with Bun. So they use Bun as their bundler, and Bun has joined Anthropic. This is why they use Bun, because Bun is part of Anthropic. But Bun had a bug where they were generating source maps in production builds, and then that's how it got into. This is supposedly or allegedly. I should got to make sure I qualify this, but this has been picked up all over the place, and yeah, it's one of those things. Like I think I'm going to do videos about these things where basically my premise of all this. Oh God, look at all the ads. What is with all the ads? Like this giant ad here. I can't read anything. It's just like ads or pictures. All right. But the general gist of it is that, you know, your CI process may fail. You may have inadvertent things happen as part of your build. That happens. But there should be quality gates or something happening at your CD level, right? Like your CD should have some kind of check on this sort of thing. And so, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I think, you know, we've got to ask ourselves, what are we doing here? You know, so anyways. This is just something that I saw. There's a bunch of news articles about it. This is just one that I saw up on VentureBeat. There's tons of articles about it. There's whole comment trails up on Hacker News as well if you want to read about it. Some there. So yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll just wrap up with a couple of things, and we'll do a support on Friday. So we've got a couple of webinars. I got to move this one. Charlotte, you and Steve did this one a couple hours ago, so there you go. But tomorrow, I've got myself, Dan, and Steve, and others are going to be doing the KubeCon 2026 recap party, where we talk about everything that happened in Amsterdam. So if you want to get caught up on everything that happened there, join us tomorrow. This will be, I believe, 4 a.m. my time. Yeah, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. my time. Great, can't wait. Anyways, be looking forward to talk to you all there. And then don't forget, we got Argo Unpacked as well. We also have some events coming up. So we were just at KubeCon. We got to update this. But later on, we've got PlatformCon coming up. Don't forget to check that out. It's also going to be available as a virtual event. We've got PlatformCon New York as well. And then, of course, we've got KubeCon Cloud Native Con Japan coming up in July, which I know a lot of us are looking forward to. So really cool stuff on the event side.
I wonder if we should get a tile up on here. I'm not sure if there'll be time, but at the end of the month, we are also at NDC in Sydney. So John, myself, and Rob are giving talks there on different things, and a few of the Octopus folks will be there as well. So yeah,
assuming we're still flying here in Australia, we have a bit of a fuel emergency going on down here in the US and in in the Australia and New Zealand sort of area here. And this is a dashboard. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's a dashboard I've been monitoring called the Fuel Reserve Monitor. I don't know who cooked this up.
Wow.
But it's like basically a tracking of our diesel, our petrol, and our jet fuel.
Wow.
And so you can check this out if you want. This is nzoilwatch.com. They have an AU marker, but basically because of what's happening in Iran right now, we're running out of fuel. So, you know, there's lots of talk about it. Anyways, you'll see it in the news. So we'll see. We'll see if we'll be at. We'll see. We'll see if we're going to NDC Sydney or not. So
you might be coming down on the push bike from Queensland, John. So yeah.
Yes, I know.
Was that a countdown of the days?
It is based on like reports and stuff. This number varies. It goes up and down, you know, sort of thing. So it's, you know, boats are arriving, really etc.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, worth checking out. Anyways, hopefully we'll be there. Hopefully, you know. So we don't know if we're going to be there. Anyway, I don't know what kind of segue that is for support on Friday, but let's go ahead and do it. All right, so for folks who are just watching this for the first time, Support on Friday is where we take just basically a thread in the advice channel. We just answer it live on on the show. So this one is from Vinu. It says, hello, team. Is there a way to retrieve the last login time for individual users via the Octopus API? We're currently working with user access metrics and would like to include this information if it's available. Appreciate any guidance. Roman then comes in and says, you consider using an API call. So Roman shows how to do this via curl. Curl is a command line utility for basically invoking API endpoints directly. Wonderful, wonderful tool. If you haven't used curl, you can check it out. And talks about utilizing one of the BFFs or backend for front-end endpoints. So for those folks who don't know, Ben comes in here. Ben's one of the Octonauts here at Octopus. We have a set of endpoints that are /BFF, and that stands for backend for front end. There are a set of specific URLs that we use for our front end UI that is supported by the backend. You really shouldn't use them because they are very subject to change, because we may change them for supporting UI changes on the front. And there's a reason why we separate the two. We try and preserve the contract of our backend API for the UI itself, and then our proper API for general automation scenarios as well. But if you need to do this, there are BFF endpoints you can use, but you'll find these typically on the /API listing. So if I jump back here and I go to say samples and I go whack API, you'll see a listing of some of the APIs you can hit. And these are a bunch of them as well. There's a Swagger doc that we also publish, that we generate, but it's not always the truth. This is a more accurate representation, but the problem with this is it doesn't give you a rundown of the certain endpoints that you can definitely hit. But what you'll see here is you'll see, let me pump up the font here so you can see what we're looking at. So if we take an example here, like let's say we utilize the Lifecycles API. What you're seeing here is this is the base endpoint, and then we have the option of doing a ID reference. So that's at whack ID. Or if I wanted to, I could do a query parameter here if I'm getting a collection back. So if I get a collection of items, say I get 20 items back, I can skip the first 10, take the next 10, do a partial name search. That's what those qualifiers are for. And you'll see they differ from endpoint to endpoint. So this one has a ton of different qualifiers. The machines endpoint has the ability to do searches across the name, the partial name, the roles it falls under, its health statuses, etc. So that's what you'll find under whack API. And getting back to the original question, which is in Slack, that's what Ben was talking about here, is that don't rely on the BFFs. But if you have to, you can do it here. However, using something like /events might be a little bit more reliable for you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Is the does the reason the BFF gets surfaced in discussions like this, John, is it mostly because folks might go to the user interface and turn on like dev tools in the browser and get it? Yeah.
Look, okay. when faced with a challenge and we don't know the solution, we do as God intended. We hack, right? So we pull up dev tools and we just look at what's Chrome doing. Hey, what's this endpoint doing? All right, let's go hit that, sort of thing. So it's natural. That's what developers do. We hack around and we figure out stuff. So, but use the Swagger API. Use the proper API if you can.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah. So
I
know it's definitely the event logs in Octopus definitely have all this information which you can pull out from, as Ben said, from events there. The other thing, just to expand on that, it is an enterprise feature, but and I don't know, this is not the actual question that was being asked, but we can stream our events off to a SIEM as well if you're on the enterprise tier of Octopus Deploy. So
correct.
If you were an enterprise customer and you're streaming it off, you might instead go and query your SIEM tooling instead of the Octopus API for that.
That's right. Let me see if I can quickly bring this up here. So if we go into, I got to remember where this is now. It's in the audit. There's our events.
Yep, and then
and then you can stream audit log. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. See, I found it. Just give me enough time, I'll find it. So so we can publish to an open telemetry provider. An open telemetry is a framework for doing that. Splunk, very well known. Sumo Logic is very well known, etc. So you can certainly do that if you want to export those as events. You can certainly do that. That's the audit log. There's also notifications, which is another thing as well. But there you go. We could spend all the time just talking about various features of Octopus, which is not the point of this show. We're trying to get to the news. The news is what we cover, not the entire product. We'll start a show about that. Anyways, another good week. More content coming, but I think a lot of us will be away maybe next week. Charlotte, are you away next week?
No, I'm here.
No, you're here? Okay, maybe we'll do another show. Matt, are you away on leave next week?
No, I'll be here. Just the standard public holidays for
all right. I might be away, but I'll join anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm not going
No,
anywhere,
you
so I stay at home.
You can have a holiday.
No, it's fine. I like talking to the
Charlotte, he's got his new MacBook Pro. He needs to use it at the
Yes,
moment.
so I gotta use it. I got a
Right.
Mac. So to be fair, I got a new MacBook. I was bragging a little bit. I got the new M5 MacBook Pro. I was very happy with it. Matt and Charlotte were both extremely jealous. I am using it to my full. Huh?
Yes, I guess I am. I feel like you've
Good.
been
Tell me what I
talking
want to
about it
hear.
for a
That you're
while,
jealous.
so-
That's all I want to hear. Anyways. All right, that's probably a good place for us to wrap it up. Anyways, on behalf of Matt and Charlotte, thank you for joining us. We're here every week. Tip your server, etc. We'll see you here next week. Happy deployments, everyone. Take care. Happy Easter.
Bye.